one more thing.
Usually I re-record the intro because I fluff it up, but I'm gonna try and do it all in one take and just be really, really professional. So here goes. Yo, what's going on? It is the One More Thing podcast, and today I am joined by Maria, who is an incredibly talented, multidisciplinary artist, a poet, a spoken word artist, an MC, a songwriter, a singer. I know you play guitar because I've seen a video from you playing guitar in lockdown, but don't know if you're a multi-instrumentalist, but I'm gonna say multi-instrumentalist just in case. Oh yeah, super talented Maria. How are you doing? Was that okay for an intro?
Oh, Dave, that was too kind. Thank you. I'm blushing. I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. It's towards the end of the week. I've had a productive week, and Banshee is doing well. Like Banshee is officially the most successful single that One More Thing has released so far.
Sick.
And it's cool. Like, you know, it's pretty much, it's been out for 2 weeks now, and it's doing really well, isn't it? Everything's cool at the moment on the Banshee front.
Yeah, it's wicked, man. The support and like the messages we've had, like in response to it, have been amazing. The launch night was sick. Like, super vibey. Had a great time. Yeah, it's been amazing to finally get it out there.
Yes, because it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, someone said 3 years ago the other day that it first sort of started being talked about and worked on, and I couldn't even believe it had been that long. But yeah, it's been a long time in the making, which, you know, it can happen with these things, but it's just so exciting to have it out there now.
Yeah, totally. And the launch party, that was officially the best launch party party that One More Thing has done as well. Doing the warm up, I wasn't expecting anybody to be dancing. I was expecting just to have a few kind of crew members and stuff, a few friends and things like that. People turned up. They really turned up. People were dancing. Obviously, you were playing straight after me, so you were on the stage. Abi was on the stage. Kathy got on the mic, and she said, "Look, I'll get on the mic if there's enough people there to necessitate an MC." And halfway through the set, suddenly she was there belting it out on the stage. And then we had an unofficial, because I know we posted today like the official first time that you'd actually performed the song, but there was a bit of a warm up when all four of you suddenly ended up on the stage when we finished with a remix of the song, wasn't it?
Yeah, none of us had heard the remix before. We all lost our minds, man. We were like, what is this?
It was brilliant.
That was wicked.
Yeah, because you were up on the stage, so you had Kathy, then yourself, and I was thinking, like, where's Maddy? Where's Maddy? And suddenly she was there taking her coat off. Like, it was serendipity. It was one of those moments. I was trying to film it, but trying to kind of embrace it as well.
Take it in,
Yeah. Also a little bit worried, thinking, like, hang on a minute, are Angus and Aidan going to be happy with this being this, like, you know, the whole thing of the night was about the first time that all four of you got on stage. But it was just one of those moments, like, which I'm sure you have many of as a live performer. Those are the type of moments that we kind of remember and hold from all of the hard work that goes on behind the scenes, isn't it?
Yeah, man, you've just got to grab those moments sometimes and run with it, innit? Like, it was just Banshee Assemble. It just all came together, like.
Banshee Assemble. I absolutely love that. Go on, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I mean, it's a really important record, isn't it? Like the energy between all of you, the whole kind of story of how you turned up for the photo shoot and the video, and none of you discussed any type of kind of color theme or anything like that. The way that you all kind of coordinated. This has just been a really kind of amazing project, but it's a really important one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all of us turning up to the video shoot color coordinated was just like such a moment. We just sort of looked around and we were like, we all got the memo without sending a memo. But yeah, it's a really important record. Like, it's incredible to be on the track with such incredible women and to show what we can do and to show that, you know, we deserve our place here. Like, we all are amazing at what we do, basically. You know, not to sound like super big-headed, but like, you know, we've earned our spot. Like, not that we should have to earn it, but I think Banshee is just out there to show like what we're made of, basically. And it's super fun as well, you know, like it is you know, a bit tongue-in-cheek here and there. Like, it's
Yeah, it's brilliantly tongue-in-cheek, and I wanted to high-five you on your lyrical genius, rhyming rampon with tampon. And that's just like, it's a real standout line. And I mean, it's like never a truer word said in jest as well. Like I see it, and, kind of speaking to my partner, like, and loads of other female friends, like, if you're angry or if you've got a point to make, no, you don't even have to be angry. If you've got a point to make, then you have that turned on you. Oh, it must be the time of the month or anything like that. So like, it's a really funny line, but it's also kind of loaded with, these are the realities that like women face all of the time, really, isn't it? But take me through the writing process. And was that a moment where you smiled to yourself and thought, yeah, I've got to use that. That's brilliant.
It's actually something that I've been sat on for, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 years. Like I wrote like that sort of intro line. Sometimes, and it was sat with a different set of bars. It was intro to a different set of bars I'd written. And I remember writing it and just, I think, yeah, I was probably actually just pissed off about the fact that someone had made an assumption like that, because definitely as a woman, you can be, it happens in loads of different things, not just, if you're pissed off, you must be on your period, or like, if you're asserting yourself, you're bossy. There's all these different like negative connotations that are given to the way we behave that wouldn't be given to a man.
Yeah, totally. It would be called
And
assertive for a man, but you're being a
yeah,
bitch if you're a woman and stuff like that.
exactly. So I think, yeah, it came from that, but it was sat in my sort of notepad for years. And then when I got the call up for Banshee, I was instantly like, I know what I want to use as my starting bar. So had those, that little couplet, and then wrote the rest from there.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. And I mean, let's go through your history just as writer. And by the way, did I get it right? Do you play more than one instrument, or do you just play
No,
the guitar?
I just the guitar, just the guitar. I've like,
Ah.
pretended to play piano a little bit, but I'm not like just a little chopsticks here and there. Nothing like.
Oh, chopsticks counts. You're a multi-instrumentalist, definitely.
Thank you. I'll take it.
But
I did have a
let's
drum
zoom
kit for a
in.
while as well, but just that
Oh
was one of
wow.
my 3-month hobbies that I, invested loads of money in, and then was like, right, on to the next thing.
Yes, I can relate to that very much.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, you've stuck within music, and let's zoom in on you as a wordsmith, as a writer, as a lyricist, Like, what came first? Were you writing poems first, or were you inspired by rappers? Take me through that journey.
Yeah, so I started off definitely with poetry when I was younger, like always as a kid and stuff. I'd write poems, and then I started playing guitar when I was about 13. So that's when I started like singing, and from that then writing songs. Um and I do like pub gigs and stuff like local to me. And then when I was about 18, I joined, or maybe a bit younger actually, 16, 17, a group of my friends started a hip hop collective, Voodoo Collective, and they asked me to be their singer, and I was hanging out with them all the time. And we were like jamming, writing, and they just kept being like, you should rap. Like you've written poetry, you've written songs, and I was always like, no, I could never. And then just a couple of beers later, one day was like, oh yeah, okay, go on then. Oh, am I allowed to
Brilliant.
swear? By the way, do I need to be
Yeah,
careful
yeah,
of
yeah,
swearing?
absolutely.
Fine,
Yeah.
cool. I was suddenly like, is this before Watershed? Um, yeah, so it just went from there really, and then I still, sometimes write poetry and, like you say, spoken word and things like that. So, yeah.
Go on. That's cool. That's cool. Was there a moment where you kind of felt that it all clicked as a performer then in that type of way? And it sounds like you'd already had a musical journey then anyway, really, with other stuff. Like, well, how did the writing and the spoken word and stuff kind of go in parallel with other musical interests and stuff? Be they 3 months or more permanent?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. Like, I think it kind of just happens. Like, I think there are some things that I write that they just happen, and normally they're quite reactive pieces. So it will be something that stemmed from something someone said to me or something that's happened. And there doesn't need to be any music. It's something that, it's sort of like almost a bit of therapy. I just need to get a pen and a paper and just write it out and, get it out of my head. And for some reason, there's something about rhyming it that just makes that feel all the more satisfying. And then other times you'll hear a piece of music and that's what starts that process. That's what creates those feelings, which I think is probably my favorite way round to have it, because quite often when it's reactive, to be honest, for me, it'll be reacting to something more negative. You know, if
Yeah.
I'm like super excited or super happy about something, probably the first thing I'm thinking isn't, I need to write a tune about this. If I'm pissed off or upset, then I might be like, oh, I need to write this down. But yeah, so when it happens that you're reacting to the music, I think, yeah, that's my sort of the way around that I enjoy it, because one, it's an insane feeling. It feels really powerful. Like
Yeah.
like something inside you, it just speaks to you, and you're like,
I mean,
"What?
that's
I
the
need to."
magic there, especially
Yeah,
if you're in a room, and we'll get to this when we talk about, your role in Dutty Moonshine, but that when you're responding to music in real time and it's triggering you, and like, yeah, I'm rippling in goosebumps just thinking about that sensation and that kind of the trigger that music can have. It is proper magic, really, when it puts you in a mood, or it creates these pictures in your mind, or brings these words to your mind and stuff like. And
yeah,
it's like, whoa, that wasn't there in my head until you played that sequence of notes. Like, how is this possible?
yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy, but it's magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
And
why
this is
we all
really
do it.
cool. I'm going to do a really cool segue now. Or other times, other people will hear your words and make music for them, which is what happened, didn't it, with the Home by Nine, which I wanted to speak about before we get to Dutty Moonshine, like your work with other producers and stuff. And Home by Nine was like it's comparable to Banshee in terms of its message, its fierceness. But I mean, having watched the video yesterday, and yeah, it moved me to tears. Certainly, as a father of like kind of a young woman, yeah, it just scares the shit out of me, makes me feel just disappointed in humans, full stop. But this all came about. You put up some spoken word for anybody watching who doesn't know about the tune. You put up some spoken word, and the producer Martin Bader was so moved by it, he wrote a tune to it, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So it started as a spoken word piece, and I mean, exactly as I was just saying, it was a piece. For anyone who's not heard it, who's listening, it is to do with kind of the day to day that women face. You know, particularly leading towards sort of like abuse and violence in all the forms that that can take. So it was a an anger piece at the kind of state of things. And that's kind of where it came from. It started off as a spoken word piece, which I did actually get to do on at Boomtown with Dutty. Sort of we
Wow.
did it. We had like a midday set, so performed it there because it's important to talk about these things. And then yeah, recorded it, put it online, and then yeah, I think it was a year or two later, Martin Bader reached out and said he'd written a piece of music to it. And he
Right,
sent
so
it
it's had
over, and I
quite a
loved
long
it.
lifespan. So it wasn't quite reactionary to like one post or anything. It had already had its own lifespan. You performed it at Boomtown. And it is really important. And I think with that lyrics, whereas with Banshee, it's just pure fire of just like, fuck you, we're not going anywhere. And this needs to change. Like men need to stand down and let women do what they need to do. Like there's a lot more fierceness in that way. But on Home by Nine, it spells out just how subtle and how insidious it is among so many men, that the very fact that most women have experienced one of those type of situations, the scenarios that you talk about, it's gutting, it's heartbreaking, because it's not all, there are other subtleties and just like the day-to-day stuff. And yeah, it made me really sad. It moved me, and it needs to move anybody who hears it, especially men, and make them think really in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's, to be honest, what was really important to me about it. I think definitely had some feedback from people, from men, that was, oh my God, it made me think about something that I've said or done or seen someone do in the past that actually I wouldn't have thought about, or, wouldn't have done a second look at, because things like that can be so ingrained and accepted and just seen as the norm, right? And so to hear that it had made people reassess their behavior and assess the impact that that could have on someone was like really incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really humbling to hear that like people had listened and then assessed. That made me feel like, maybe humbling's not the right word, but it's important, and
Yeah, that
I was
you'd
really
actually
glad
made that
it landed in
connection.
that way. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. That you'd been heard and responded to, even if it's by a small amount of people, that's really important. And those are the people who just got in touch. A lot of other people would have been stirred or motivated, and that's so important. And I think, like you've done some great tracks with Martin Bader, full stop. Like I think all of your tracks that you've done with him make a point in one way or another. There's ones that I can certainly relate to on what's it, No Two Ways About It. No Two
Yeah.
Way. Yeah, No Two Ways About It. And when you're talking about the apathy that we're experiencing, and certainly within the creative industry, where it's our job to try and make that connection with people and try and get people to buy music, invest in it, come to gigs, engage with us, to collaborate, do cool stuff, and the stuff that, all that magic that we just mentioned a minute ago. It feels harder and harder. You've been in the industry for long enough now. I wonder if you've noticed that as well with the apathy. Well, you must have done, because you've rapped about it. But it's really hard to engage people at the moment, isn't it? It's and I know that's only part of the message of the song, but I definitely related to that. Just as my entire job is trying to connect with people, and some days it just doesn't feel like people are bothering or care anymore, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, and I think one of the drivers for that song was kind of the bigger picture of why that's happening, in terms of like, I mean, there's so many things that I could speak to here. I don't want to sort of go down a rabbit hole and get to, there's I wouldn't even know where to start really, but
Yeah.
like, as in, the world is just a fucked up place, isn't it? And so it becomes harder, it feels like, for people then to care about
Yep.
the, like, to care about things, like to care about whether that's caring about, things going on in their community, or people find it then harder to care about what is going on in the wider world because they find it overwhelming, or, and then it just, I think we're pushed to kind of have this individualistic mindset, where we shut ourselves off, and that apathy just grows and grows and grows. But then also our individual situations can be getting worse, getting made harder, it's, more difficult. And then that self-perpetuates because we are all kind of isolating ourselves. There's a real like
Yeah.
disconnect that's going on. And I'm sort of speaking at it kind of from a real, sort of a like high level, distant, kind of reflection. Because as I
Oh,
say,
totally.
there's loads of
Totally.
different areas you could speak to more in depth. But
And things get more
yeah,
expensive, so people have to work harder. They become more and more isolated. All of the kind of social media related stuff. I mean, this all kind of goes back to the 80s and conservatism, and certainly in the UK with Thatcher, like, demolishing communities and championing
yeah,
individualism.
get on your bike and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's when it should be, working together and looking out for each other and the power of the people, really. And I think, that's certainly what it is. But I think, like, there's all of the tracks, and on a kind of, relating to just the hustle. Like, there's the grind tune. Hold on, I've written down the name of this. The most recent one I think you've done with Martin Bader. It's like Work
Work, hustle,
Grind.
grind, move.
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
like the kind of like the self-flagellation that you do with that, and the drive, and just like a lot of that is so self-motivated, but also like world imposed, economics imposed. But I mean, there's messages in every single track that you've done. But I think working with Martin, you seem to have loads of space, and you work really well over kind of breaks and that house tempo. And it's something else. There's a whole other side to people. Like, people will know you from Dutty Moonshine, but maybe less so for these kind of collaborations, because you've got a body of work that's been developing with him for quite a few years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And it is, yeah, it's always a pleasure to work with Martin. And I don't know, I mean, sort of, some fans will definitely know, but he was our original pianist in Dutty when we first started out. So that's how me and Martin met.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
didn't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is, I mean, that's going back like, 10 years now, 11 years nearly. But yeah, so that's how we met. And then it was Home by Nine, which started us off working together. But yeah, the tunes he makes, man, are just, they're incredible. And it is it's such a different vibe to Dutty. I adore what I do with Dutty. With Martin's tracks, it is, there is that, it's total different vibe. There is that space. There's that, and it's a perfect example of where I was sent the music, the tracks post Home by Nine. Martin would send the tune, and it would just make me feel shit, and I would just have to write. And some of them I, didn't even get my pen out straight away. I just turned the mic on and just started sort of talking into the mic, and then took little bits and worked on that, because it just made
Oh
me feel things.
wow.
It really connected me to these kind of feelings of apathy and disconnect and kind of overload, and systems that we're kind of trapped into, and like looking at the state of the world. It kind of just brought all of those feelings out. And yeah, always, I'd say one of my big influences is Mike Skinner, with that kind of like slower, more thoughtful, like sort of storytelling, use of kind of his rhymes.
Brilliant.
And
And
yeah,
when
I feel
sometimes
like,
you do that, like you do a freestyle, so if you feel so motivated, then you can just put it on record. And I mean, I guess it like, yeah, is that just you on your own? I mean, the confidence to just do that, like, because obviously, I mean, like I write for a living, but there's a delete button. But when you're recording yourself, there's more of a kind of a rawness when you're listening back to yourself and stuff. So it's got to have moved you quite a lot. And I imagine they're very, very personal, kind of private, creative moments, aren't they? Really, I mean, there's no difference in putting pen to paper and putting your mouth to a microphone, but it feels like it is to me. I don't know, but how though they must be quite big, yeah. Or is that how you freestyle and develop lines and ideas and bars and stuff?
not always. I mean, definitely not for Dutty stuff. I've been practicing my freestyling at that sort of tempo, but it is harder at that tempo, right? It's faster. You got your mind's got to be
Yeah.
moving quickly.
Oh man,
Um,
massively.
yeah, but with the kind of my lyrics with the tracks with Martin are way more kind of spaced out. It's a lot more like spoken word,
Mm.
to a beat. So there is that space, and nothing, just like when you're writing, if you hit record, nothing is permanent. It'll just be me on my own, sort of in my little home studio. So it feels quite similar, I suppose. But you've definitely got to be in the right like headspace to do it.
Yeah.
Like you've got to feel that motivation from the track to um to do it that way around, I'd say.
Definitely. Yeah, and you've kind of got to be in a bit of a flow state in that type of way. I mean, like the intro that I did for this interview, it's either you've just got to dive in and do it, or your tongue just gets in knots, and then your brain works at one speed and your tongue works at a completely different one, and you've either got to commit to it or not. I think when you're doing it vocally, isn't it? You can ponder over words a bit more.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
I really
definitely
want to
think
get to
so.
Dutty, but I wanted to kind of you referred earlier about influences as a kind of spoken word, when you're writing your lyrics and stuff. But you talk loads. You also embrace as well as kind of celebrating sisterhood. There's a lot of talk about class as well. Which I think has kind of missed out so much in so much music as well. We've kind of like there is no working class anymore. Like there's so many roots that the working class aren't given the opportunities like they were maybe in generations before ours, where there was art college and stuff like that, and there was just a bit more kind of funding and opportunities. It's more and more of a middle class thing, but you talk about working class a lot, and I was just wondering what your kind of roots were and your upbringing was and stuff like that, which kind of motivated a lot of your topics and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We grew up, yeah, very working class.
In
Single
Bristol,
parent
or
family, like separated parents kind of thing. No, I grew up in Oxford. Cowley, from anyone from there who's listening, sees up. Yeah, I grew up there with my mum, and my dad was in High Wycombe. Um, so yeah, it's important to me where I come from. I think it was a real motivator. Like I think I saw a lot of people who maybe didn't feel that they could do whatever they wanted. And I was sort of always brought up with that feeling that I could do whatever I wanted. And I think, yeah, I think I write about it a lot because I would get into certain spaces. So I was really into like singing and dancing growing up as well, right? So when I got to a certain age, I'd go and do like musical theatre groups and things like that. And like my school was really supportive and stuff. But going to these groups, you'd meet people from like really different backgrounds, sort of like middle and upper class, and it just felt so different. And I felt really like aware of where I was from and like worried about it and worried that I'd be judged and like felt really different. And growing up and looking back on that feeling, I just find it so wild that, you know, as basically like a child, I felt that. Like, no one taught me to feel that way. I picked up on it. Like, it's a societal thing, right? That there's this
Mm-hmm.
difference, this divide. And it's still something I've not, you know, like, I don't have it figured out, but I just look back and I think, like, God, I really felt a divide.
Yeah.
And not necessarily by the way, you know, I didn't get treated, you know, differently by like my peers in those groups that, you know, no matter where they were from or kind of what background they had. But I don't know, there is something where you just kind of feel it. And I think there, like you say, like the removal of kind of access to youth services, the cuts that are being made and, you know, have been being made for years. Um,
And
those
then the cost
opportunities
of being
are
able to
ripped
do
out.
things and stuff like that as
Yeah,
well.
just going up. Yeah, exactly. So, um,
It's
yeah,
definitely, it's an unspoken feeling as well. And I would certainly get it as a journalist. So quite often have it because that was where I really kind of found it's like, wow, okay, there's a lot of people here who had a very, very different educational experience to me and grew up on a very, very different budget. And there's nothing ever spoken was just that kind of feeling, like really, I think. And I didn't, yeah, I only noticed that when the further I moved away from home and realized that people with a lot more money existed in the world, really. Because
it's
otherwise, you've kind of grown up in that culture and just, you know, like
it's
a regular school and that.
yeah, it's interesting because it's not, you know, it's not something like I still feel now, and I wonder sometimes looking back why it was. But I guess actually thinking about it, you know, in those spaces I'm talking about, say like whether it's like a musical theatre group or whatever, I was probably the only person from that working class background. I was the only person that was living on a council estate. So I guess you feel those differences, and that says a lot about the opportunities, right? Like,
Mm.
you know, those opportunities cost money, and like I was lucky to have people that would, you know, help with that and like scrimp and save for that. And then, you know, as soon as I could, I got a job so I could pay for those things. And like, if you don't have those opportunities, like, yeah, I guess money buys like loads of different things, right?
Yeah.
And really,
Yeah.
we should have access to all opportunities, like at that age, you know.
I think you definitely
But it's
value
not the way
them
it
more,
works,
really. No, it's not. But I think you value them more
unfortunately.
when you've kind of when you've come from having less, really. I think, and I need to know now before we get to Dutty Moonshine, what do your mum and dad make of your music career? Have they seen you perform? Do you bring your family out? Have they seen you on stage or seen you from beside the stage at some of these massive gigs at festivals? How do they feel about your life on stage and as a musician?
Yeah, they absolutely love it. They love it. Um, yeah, like buy all the music, come to the shows. Yeah, they think it's absolutely wicked. They really enjoy it. They love the music. Like we jumping up and down at the side of the stage. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. I want to know that we're going to talk about Dutty now. And I know that there's been some massive announcements as we've been kind of building up to this, as we've been talking about Banshee and releasing that. Your whole other life in Dutty Moonshine is about to, you're about to reveal something really, really, really cool and do something really cool as a band. But I want to know before we actually talk about the band and stuff, what it's like to be in a band. Like I grew up as a heavy metal fan. I idolized bands. I daydreamt about being in a band. I don't have the people skills to be in a band. I'm much better off being a one man army, I've found over the years. But what's it like being in a band with your mates, traveling on the road and doing all the cool stuff that you do?
I'm not gonna lie, it's sick. I love it. Like
Yeah.
it does feel like such a privilege to be honest, because we are like a family. We get on really well. And I mean, like family, you know, sometimes if you've been on the road too long with each other, you're like, oh, I don't want to look at you right now. I can't wait to get home. But that's few and far between, man. And that's, you know, that happens with anyone, I guess. But it's so much fun. It's such a giggle. Like I'm saying this now because we've not done it in like 3 4 months. Like you've caught me at the right time to ask this question. I'm like missing it. You know, the service station sandwiches get a bit bleak, but nah, it's amazing. I feel really lucky to get to do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And yeah, you came from a huge tour at the end of last year, last autumn.
Yeah.
Now things are about to kind of like grow again this year. You are a founding member, right? Aren't you? Like
I was
you're
there
the
from the
first voice that
beginning.
we hear
Yeah.
on the
So it
first
was,
album, and because it's
yeah.
now 14, but I think you were 7 piece to begin with. Tell me everything,
No,
as
yeah.
I'm
I think
quite ignorant.
we've always been at least 12, I think. So we've always had like a
Oh,
7 piece horn section. Um, and then, yeah, we had keys to begin with, which we do occasionally now. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, about 12 to begin with. And it's sort of, yeah, gone sort of up and down a little bit. And, you know, occasionally you'll get the odd member who's off sick or whatever. So, but yeah, 12 is like the good steady number that I always go for.
right, because there were some descriptions when I was doing loads of research last night, and I was kind of noticing like that the number kept on going up on how many the piece of the band were. But I mean, that's like it's quite it's a flex to have so many people in a band these days, like because of the cost of things and stuff like that, and lives. Like it seems like you are a huge band. What's that like as a dynamic with all of you? Because I know that you also do the Dutty Quartet as well, which must be really cool to kind of do both of those and explore different things, kind of within the two projects. But what's it like having so many people in a band? That must be chaos.
It's chaos trying to organise diaries. Thank God I don't have to do it. I tried it for a few months. I was like, I help with diaries. Mistake. I retracted my statement swiftly. It's awful. You know, we're all at different life stages, all got things going on. So yeah, diary organisation is carnage with that many people. Um, Green rooms can be can be a
Yeah.
squeeze with that many people. But it's just, I don't know, it's so lush. It's so nice having so many people to bounce off. Um, yeah, I wouldn't change it, to be honest. Like, it's expensive, but I wouldn't change it. It's so worth it. And then having all of that energy on stage is just incredible. Like, yeah, the quartet is amazing as well. It's just very different vibe, you know. Um,
So
obviously,
that's yourself and Abby, and then like I haven't written down the members, the names of anybody else in the band. I'm hugely apologetic. Like so,
no,
it's
no.
with
So
two other members of the band. The
yeah,
names are
so
going to
with
come up on the bottom of the
Dutty
screen.
and DJ Benj, yeah, on the decks.
Brilliant. When did they come about? And I guess that's a really cool way of kind of showcasing the band, really, but on a much more affordable or sustainable level, really.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly it. You know, there were people getting in touch that wanted to book the band, but the budget, you know, obviously there's a lot of us, so it comes with a cost. So yeah, I think it was, you know, a workaround for that. But also, like, sometimes you just want a different kind of show. You know, a DJ MC set is really different to a set with, you know, seven horns in it. Um, so yeah, it's about, yeah, just having that kind of diversity, I guess, in the type of show we put on.
Yeah, totally, totally. Now tell me about the show that you're going to put on. I think it's happening in May, isn't it? And it's like
Yes.
I've been, yeah, lots and lots of Dutty posts have been coming up on my feeds recently, so I've been able to kind of see the development of this. But it's like two levels. Tell me everything. Like it's got lights. This it just looks and sounds amazing. And probably when you're
Yeah.
talking, I'll edit over pictures of you describing it.
Nice.
But yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
tell me everything.
So yeah, it's our 11th anniversary show. So last year for our 10th anniversary, we did Bristol Beacon, and that was incredible. And it sold out in like 51 hours or something. So we wanted to do like a bigger show, but still in Bristol. Bristol's sort of like our base, you know. Um, so yeah, we're putting on a 340-degree show. So hopefully there'll be pictures now of the stage that you can see. It's a two-tier stage. It looks fucking sick. Like, I lost my mind when I saw it. I can't wait to stomp out on it. It's at Prospects on the 16th of May. It's just going to be unreal. It's going to be like nothing else we've ever done. Like, anyone who came and saw our show at the Beacon last year, that was, I mean, the vibes there were just insane. Like, that's, you know, a show that I'm never gonna ever forget, like how that made me feel. And yeah, if you came to that and you enjoyed it, like, this one is just, we just like to up the levels, you know. So we're literally doing it. We're going to have 2-tier stage. How can we up the levels from having a big orchestra at Bristol Beacon? We'll have 2 stages on top of each other with loads of lights. Why not?
Wow. Wow. Go on. That's amazing. Will that then, and this might, you might not be able to answer this, but I mean, you don't just build a stage for a one-off thing. So I'm imagining this might be incorporated in other stuff that Dutty do or be part of a tour. Or is it just a one-off? Is this just like a really special thing that
It's
fans
just a
need to
special
be at?
thing. Yeah,
Go
I'm pretty
on.
sure it's just a special thing. I don't know. Yeah, Dutty's the big
Wow.
mastermind, so I don't know if he's got something else cooking around it. But yeah, it's a be at this show or you'll miss this incredible sight. So you know,
Wow.
better get
Wow.
your tickets.
Brilliant. Go on. And 11 as well. It's quite an innocuous number to be doing something so grand. Does it feel like 11 years?
It feels like a lifetime in a really good way. Like so, what 11 years? I was 20 when we started. Um, Giving my age away. Yeah, so it's been a decade. It's been my entire 20s. Does feel like a long time. I feel like I've been doing it my whole life. Really, it's my whole adult life, isn't it? So yeah, it
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like a long time. But also, all of it's been incredible, like in a really enjoyable way, long time.
Yeah. So I'd imagine, obviously, you mentioned the Beacon show just now, but what have been some other real standout ones? And like my own personal Dutty experience was WOMAD when you opened WOMAD on a Friday afternoon. And, I
Mm,
take my family there most years. It's great to be able to show my kids the type of world that I'm generally working at when I'm away in the summer. This is the type of place that I'm at. And they love festivals as well. They really, really loved you guys. You could feel,
amazing.
like Dutty said, you did a speech at the end. Like I think he'd had a similar kind of upbringing going to festivals, and that was a real kind of bucket list moment. I got goosebumps now. I remember this silly dance off that I had with another dad, and they, a similar kind of young family. It was just vibes, just absolutely, just a perfect way of enjoying the opening. Yeah, it was just a fucking wicked show. Tell me your
Thanks, man.
standout moments.
WOMAD was definitely up there. That was incredible. That was the first time we played there. That was a really cool show, and we were all really excited for it. Um, some other standouts would be not the year just gone, but the year before we did Grand Central at Boomtown. That was incredible. Yeah, that was a really really cool show. Glade stage as well at Glasgow was a very cool show. That was a few years ago.
Oh,
God,
go
there's
on.
so many. We did a show at Wilderness once on a Thursday. We were like the first live act on. And they had this big like catwalk stage, and that just went off. Like, I don't know, sometimes you like have a feeling about a show, sometimes you don't know. Like, you're coming from straight from kind of like day-to-day life. You can come in whatever mood and you've got to like get ready for a show.
Yeah.
And then it can just bowl you over. God, there's been so many, it's really hard to pick like, and I think it probably changes day to day which ones I would say, do you know what I mean, depending on like where my head's at, because
Yeah,
there's been a lot
totally.
of belters.
I've got to ask as well for nightmares. What nightmares have you had? And with so many people in the band, there must have been some nightmares. Just
You
people
know
going
what,
AWOL and stuff like that. Or, yeah, the more people there is, the more chaos there is. What nightmares spring to mind?
absolutely, the first one that actually springs to mind then when you say that is obviously we've got loads of instruments, so transport and stuff can be tricky and a bit expensive sometimes. So quite often there might be a car that's just full of people's instruments, and those instruments will go back to that person's house until next weekend. um, and Dan had taken um, Pete's saxophone home, and then came to the next gig, and Pete was like, "Hey Dan, where's my saxophone?" And Dan was like, I don't have it," and he'd forgotten that it was at his house. And yeah, that was quite funny. I don't think it was
Did he
maybe
manage to
funny
get it
for
in
Pete.
time? Did he
No,
manage to,
no,
or
no. We
were you
we
were
were we were not
saxless?
close enough. We were on stage soon. So
Oh,
I think what happened was Pete. So Pete plays baritone sax, and he borrowed one of Jesse's saxophones because Jesse's a multi instrumentalist, so they play multiple on stage with us. So um, yeah, Pete borrowed one of their saxophones, but
crisis
it was
averted.
quite funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There must be, yeah. there is always chaos, but gotta love a bit of
Yeah,
chaos.
I was expecting more rock and roll than a lost saxophone or a misplaced saxophone.
Yeah, there
But
definitely is. That's the first one that springs to mind. And it doesn't implicate me in any way, so it's a nice safe story.
no, that's nice. I mean, how about your view on festivals? Like, it feels like festivals, it feels like they're having a very, very hard time. The cost of everything, just the fees for artists, just everything. Like, I know that WOMAD took a year off last year to kind of regain wherever they were at, and we see more and more festivals kind of dying off. There are new festivals as well, and young festivals, and it's not all bleak. But what is your view on kind of the festival landscape at the moment? Because it feels like it doesn't feel as exciting, and it feels like a very hard place. And I don't know any festival that's actually making any kind of real profit or anything like that. From your perspective, how are things looking for you, really, or what are your thoughts on that side of festivals and the commercialism?
Yeah, I mean, it's bleak out there. It's expensive. The weather's getting more unpredictable and having a bigger effect. Like costs are going up. People have less money to buy tickets. It's a really, really, really difficult environment at the minute, and you're seeing that with the amount of festivals that aren't surviving the environment. They're not surviving, the conditions that they're facing, and it's really sad seeing those the really long, well established festivals have to say, actually, we can't afford to do this anymore. It's not feasible. We can't make a
Yeah,
profit because they're just the best places on earth. Going to a festival, being in a field for the weekend with your mates, like surrounded by music, is for me like one of my favorite things in the entire world. And it's really sad that there isn't, that kind of support from the government really
yeah,
to keep
yeah.
these things
Government
going.
support would definitely be helpful, really, in that type of way. And I mean, especially
Yeah.
the smaller ones, because I mean, most festivals, besides the big commercial branded ones, which start off as big, like, I don't know, Reading or V Fest or anything like that, where they were always kind of mainstream and commercial, but things
Mm.
like Glade or Bolter, kind of festivals that we've lost over the years, where the smaller ones are the ones that come from a place of love, really, and a place of exactly that description of just being in the field with your friends with music. Do you think things will come back full cycle, and just that there'll be a new generation of younger ones with a new generation of bands and musicians which will do it in their own ecosystem? That's kind of my faith in the future, is that new generations kind of tend to want to do things their own way, and eventually it's going to reach some type of pressure point where there will be disbandment of what the previous generation are doing. That's what I hope, because that was certainly the rebellious spirit of the 90s, was just like, no, do you know what, I'm not going to do what you guys are doing. Like, but things are very, very different now. That's my hope, is that one generation are just going to turn around and just go, now we're going to do it this way. But yeah, what hopes do you have in that type of way?
I like that hope, man. Yeah. And I mean, look, like free parties still happen, that's still going on. It's not like, well, that's disappeared. Like,
No.
um, it will be interesting to see what happens with the landscape. But yeah, I guess we just gotta watch the space. But yeah, I don't think it can never die.
No, no.
Um,
And
yeah,
that urge to want to be with people dancing in the outdoors, in any type of capacity, I think that is a real human urge. And it's,
yeah,
there will always be a contingent of us, whether that's a big fashionable thing or not. And there was a point where, like, kind of Glastonbury wasn't fashionable at all in the early 90s or late 80s. Like, kind of festivals do come around in trends, and maybe there's something else for commercial companies to go and invest in, and it can go back to grassroots, really. But I think grassroots is the answer. And that's like, I don't want to end on a bleak one, really. So, what are things that put a smile on your face? Like, it's, the world is a fucked up place. We talked about that, and you talk about that in your lyrics. But on the other side, what makes you fizz? What makes you put a smile on your face in any type of way in the world, in the world of music, in your life, or anything like that? Tell me some things that make Maria smile.
I mean, performing is a huge one. Like being on stage for me, that rush, that buzz, being with my people on stage, like that is big old tick from me. I love being outdoors. I yeah, love dancing. Um, like and just like taking the time to appreciate the small things. Like me and my partner will always do like highlights of the day, like so that to make sure to look for those little bits of joy, whether it is just like the sun being out at the minute, that is giving me life, I have to say.
Yes.
Like, how good is that? Like, blue
Yeah.
skies, feeling the warmth on your face. Like, I learned a really good word the other day, actually, which was apricity, which is the feeling of sun on your skin in winter. And I just thought that was amazing. It's such a beautiful word.
Apricity.
Um, mm,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Go
that definitely
on.
gives me joy.
Massively. And I love that. So
Yeah.
you share highlights as well with your partner. So just at the end of the day or while you're eating or anything,
Yeah,
like actually
yeah, at
take
the
the
end of the
time. Oh,
day.
these are my little victories today. Yeah, yeah. That's so important. It's focusing on the good stuff because there are good things. And Banshee is a good thing. And I'm really glad that I've connected with you and everybody else on the record. And that, we've got this music out and you're out into the world. So thank you very much for joining me. I've got one more question. You're the first person I want to interview everybody out of the Banshee project, and I will in good time. You're the first person I've done that with. You are going to give me the first interview. How should I start? And I don't know. It could be Kathika, it could be Abi, one of those. So it's not a personal, like you can't direct the question at somebody. What should be the first question? How should I open the interview?
Have you ever thought about the fact that baked beans are baked?
Oof.
I had this thought today. I was like, it's a baked bean. To me, baked bean is just one word and it's just what they're called, right? But today I
Yeah.
was like, shit, they've been baked. They must have been. Or it's false advertising.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah. Oh,
interview question.
wow.
I won't
Wow.
quit my day
Okay.
job and go into journalism.
That's definitely going to set the tone for the interview, though. So that's wicked. That's exactly what I need. You've got me thinking now, and it's time for my tea as well. I don't know if I'm having baked beans or not.
Have you ever
You must
considered it
do.
though? Baked
No,
bean. It's a
never. I've
right?
never considered the process.
Yeah, it
Like,
never
it's
crossed my mind.
yeah. I know
They
that
just
they're
put them all in the
cannellini
oven.
beans. And I just thought they'd be boiled in a tomato sauce, but they've been baked. There is a baking part of that process, or otherwise we've been lied to and we've been living a
Exactly,
lie.
exactly.
On that bombshell, that's your mic drop moment.
Absolute bombshell.
Oh.
Drop the
Cool,
mic.
Maria. Thank you so much for joining me on One More Thing. And yeah, I look
Thanks for
forward to
having
working with you
me.
in the future and continuing to push Banshee out there.
Amazing, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Brilliant. Cool.